economy. Hosting events in Rapid City means out-of-town families shop, dine, and stay with us, which boosts sales tax revenues too. To get in on the action, visit rcsportscommission.com, where we're all about the hustle.
Heritage Home Lending in Rapid City is a proud supporter of high school sports. Heritage Home Lending is your locally owned mortgage brokerage, specializing in VA home loans. At Heritage Home Lending, you get to work with local people, offering competitive financing for purchasing and refinancing. Heritage Home Lending is committed to helping our service members and veterans with specific expertise in VA home loans. For all your home loan needs, work with a local company that you can trust. Get started at heritagehomelending.sd.com.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Our locally owned Ace stores are committed to helping our neighbors and our communities. And because we're in the neighborhood, we can deliver almost anything you need. So shop in store or online for whatever your home or yard needs. Choose from top brands like Milwaukee, Steel, Traeger, and Benjamin Moore. Then pick up in-store, curbside, or we'll deliver your order right to your home. Around the block, what you need in stock, with people who know how to help. See acehardware.com for details.
Could there be a better name? Auto Value Parts Stores. They aren't just about air fresheners or fuzzy dice. Auto Value Parts Stores are all about parts, auto parts, and advice. Pros who know auto parts with tons of tips when you need them the most. You want real value? Don't go to a place with a cute name. Go to Auto Value. Could there be a better name? I didn't think so. Your Auto Value Parts Store. We've got the parts, we've got the smarts.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
Listed star Jason Tatum as doubtful for Game 2 of the playoffs on Wednesday against the Orlando Magic due to a right wrist injury. The NBA today fined Minnesota Timberwolves guard Anthony Edwards $50,000 for, quote, directing inappropriate language and making an obscene gesture toward a fan, unquote, during Saturday's victory over the Lakers in Los Angeles in Game 1 of their series. Today, Pittsburgh Steelers general manager Omar Khan addressed the media regarding his team's quarterback situation.
We go to camp with 4 quarterbacks. Right now we have 2 on the roster. And, all options are on the table, and how we acquire those last 2, I assure you we'll have 4 when we get to Latrobe.
Titans GM Mike Borgonzi confirmed today that they will use their number 1 pick in Thursday's draft and won't trade it away. I'm Isaac Lowenkron.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in. Good Tuesday afternoon. Welcome into South Dakota Sports Talk Show. We're back and ready live on Fox Sports Radio. The Nate Brown Show also streaming live on X right now. Welcome you on X at Nate Brown Show. It is always a great day in South Dakota. Let's get popping on a Tuesday, have some fun here a little bit, some thought-provoking sports talk ready to go. We are live on our YouTube channel as well, so however you want to listen, thanks for checking us out. Listen or watch, you can go to YouTube as well, The Nate Brown Show on YouTube. Tuesday edition of the program looks good from South Dakota to across the country. We got you covered. Let's take a look at what's on tap tonight, brought to you by the new Mr. Liquor in Rapid City off Catron Boulevard and the Campfire Bar right inside, featuring 20 local brews from South Dakota on tap. What's on tap tonight on the Nate Brown Show? I've got John Schemmel, USD Athletic Director. He'll join us live from Vermilion. A lot of changes going on with the football program. We'll talk to John Schemmel straight ahead, USD Athletic Director, on tonight. Dan Swartos coming in as well. South Dakota High School Activities Association Executive Director. They got a board meeting. Big one. This is the big one, the board meeting for the Activities Association this week. We got Dan Swartos tonight talking about some of the pressing issues in high school sports. Dan Swartos live from Pierre. We will go to Matthew Collar, Twin Cities, Vikings insider. Where are the Vikings going to go in this draft? Thursday, they have one pick, 24th. Okay, so the Vikes got 24th pick. They got low number of picks this year. What is it, 4 picks? That's a low number. So where the Vikings going to go, is this one of those things that's like, hey, do you trade anything at all when you only got 4 picks? Matthew Collar coming up, his thoughts. He was there at the press conferences this week with Kevin O'Connell and the players. PurpleInsider.com live from Minneapolis. And Chris Stabner's on tonight, former head coach, Rapid City Stevens boys basketball. He resigns after 10 years and the winningest coach in Stevens boys basketball history. He'll join us tonight, talk about his coaching career and why he's stepping aside. So from high school to college to the pros, let's get you going. South Dakota Sports Talk Show inviting you on 605-720-1067 if you want to join us tonight. Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline, powered by the Pizza Ranch at 3809 East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, also in Brandon, and 2 locations in Rapid City, home of everyone's favorite buffet by far, the Pizza Ranch Hotline, 605-720-1067. Remember, the text line's open for you, 605-720-1067, the Barons Wilson listener text line for you. All right, good guests to get to. Let's get going on the Nate Brown Show. I've got some interesting info that comes out today. So if you think about high school sports, you're wondering, one of the big topics is always what? Where should the state tournaments be? And it's an argument everybody always has. Should they be rotated throughout the state? Should they be in Sioux Falls? Should they be rotated between Sioux Falls and Rapid City? Should state tournaments all be like basketball, all be in one location, all classes, B, A, and AA in one location, Sioux Falls or Rapid City? All of these arguments, you hear them. If you listen to shows like this, you guys are a part of this deal. Everybody has an opinion today, and that's great. Everybody has an opinion. What should we do with the state events? But I have some information today. So this information is interesting. Should this determine at all where we should put state events? That's a question I ask you today as I unveil this information from the Activities Association. And coming up later tonight, we'll talk to Dan Swartos, the executive director of the Activities Association. I'll ask him about some of these numbers. But the numbers came out for 2025, the state revenue that came in from these state events. So what that means is it's ticket sales. It's how many people attended these events, what the revenue was like. And it's good. I mean, this is good stuff for a high school sports guy like me. I can break down what the Activities Association was expecting to get at this event, what they actually got, and then how that compares over the years. And if you're not following the great producer of the Nate Brown Show, Matt Kearney, you can follow him at Matt Kearney. He's got all the numbers broken down right there. So find him at Matt Kearney on X. You can follow him, and then you get all the good high school sports numbers. So let me unveil some of the revenue from 2024/2025. That's the year we're in for the state events. And then should that be a factor in where state events should go? So let me ask you that question right off the bat. Question of the day on the Nate Brown Show tonight. Do you think state events, tournaments, should be hosted in places where the revenue is highest? That's my question of the day. Should the Activities Association basically say ticket revenue is the deciding factor? That's going to determine where state tournaments are ultimately hosted in South Dakota. And people say, well, how do they do it now? If that's a question you ask, how do they do it now for state tournaments in the state? They have a site selection committee. That's a committee through the Activities Association with coaches, administrators. They have a site selection committee that says, hey, here's where all the state events are. Here's where we're going to put them. Let's put them on a calendar. And they go out 4 or 5 years. I mean, so they go out quite a ways on this. And as of now, South Dakota has decided, the site selection committee has decided, they've rotated many of these events, almost all of them. So some rotate between Sioux Falls, Rapid City. You got wrestling, for example. You got volleyball, for example, the combined tournaments there. Then you got some that pop around a little bit. Some state basketball tournaments in smaller towns like Spearfish, Watertown, Brookings. And then you got the Dakota Dome, of course. So that's how this situation works now, is state tournaments / events move around the community from Aberdeen to Huron, move around the state. And so I'm asking you, if you look at these revenue numbers today, and I'm going to go through some of them. I'm not going to go through every single state event, but some of the highlights. How did revenue do and how that compares to certain cities? Should that factor in for you? That's my question of the day. Because everyone's in this world is, well, we got to run this like a business. This should, you should make money and do that stuff. Is that the situation for you when it comes to high school sports? Let's take a look. AA girls basketball this past March. It was in Rapid City, $77,905. That's it. You're like, well, is that good? That's Rapid City AA girls, $77,900. Okay? Sioux Falls AA girls. Sioux Falls last year. So I'm comparing the same tournament, AA girls basketball. Rapid City this past March, $78,000, give or take, $78,000 in revenue. Sioux Falls, $126,000. And now everybody's going to, see, that Sioux Falls gets more ticket revenue. That's where you put it. Is that the deciding factor for you? That's AA girls. I'll get into more of these. Let's take some calls as we get going. How much does ticket revenue matter in high school sports for state events and where to place them? Thanks for getting on. You're live and you go ahead.
Hey, Nate. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. What do you say?
Good. So I'm curious what they're using that data for. So is it all about the money and what they can spend it on, or are they using the ticket sales as an indicator of how many people are able to get to an event?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's how many people, because they talk about gate receipts. So I think they're trying to show, well, here's the gate receipts. What is the strategy to show that? I don't know, other than to say, well, here's the gate receipts from this tournament in this town.
Right, and I guess my point is that we've had this conversation before about the uselessness of governments, but if it's all about like how much money we can raise, it's like, well, what are you using the money for? Where is it going? But if it's kind of a genuine effort to get the most people to a tournament, I can see why it would be a compelling argument. But if it's all just about money, then,
Okay, yeah. So you're saying if it's just like, hey, we're out to make the most money so we can spend it here or there, that doesn't matter to you?
Well, I mean, again, like if it's spent well, fine.
Okay.
But if I'm not plugged into what all the activities association spends their money on, but if they're just wasting it and throwing it away, then that shouldn't be a metric we're measuring. But if they are actually doing what's best for the kids in the state, then, I mean, sure.
Okay,
but,
all right.
I'd have to see what they're spending the money on.
Very interesting. But the deciding factor, should you host tournaments in the city that makes the most money? That's my question of the day tonight. So that's AA girls basketball. Sioux Falls made more than Rapid City, okay? And it was significant. It was significant. Now, here's what I have to say. With the state coverage of state tournaments, state TV coverage from SDPB, which we love SDPB, that has drastically reduced people that travel across the state. I've seen this. I've covered high school sports over 20 years. More than that, even longer, I can't tell you. But I've covered it. And I remember there were great crowds, huge crowds, Rapid City to Sioux Falls. It didn't matter when the state tournament coverage became really accessible on your phone, the stream, TV. There weren't as many people traveling across the state. I mean, that is an absolute factor. So when you look at Sioux Falls and the metro and all of the schools and the population around eastern South Dakota, the state tournaments are probably going to get bigger crowds in Sioux Falls. And it's I believe, due a lot to the state TV coverage. You don't have to travel out west, for example, and even to other communities to watch the state games. How about AA boys? We did AA girls today. AA boys, state tournament revenue, This past year, it was also in Rapid City last month. Rapid City State AA boys revenue, $112,745. $112,745 ticket revenue in Rapid City. Last year in Sioux Falls, $196,440. So again, that's 2 tournaments, AA, big population, big schools, East River. Sioux Falls AA tournaments generate more. Rapid City AA does not. And here's why I get into this, and you can keep going through it. You can find these numbers today. Class A boys, that's done really, really well over the years. In Rapid City last year, $146,000. Class A boys. That beats AA. In Sioux Falls, this past March, Class A boys had Sioux Falls Christian win the whole thing. Hamlin went on a run. 192,000 revenue tickets generated for Class A boys. That beat AA boys, and that almost matched AA boys in Sioux Falls last year. So you're looking at this and saying, what is the real story? Because Rapid City combined wrestling, huge, good number, comparable to combined wrestling in Sioux Falls. So you look at it and say, what is the deciding factor? What would you say? If you're the Activities Association, and we just had the caller say, hey, kind of depends. Do they need the money? How do they spend the money? Should they drive a lot of revenue off of ticket sales when it comes to state tournaments? Is that the deciding factor? I'm going to make an argument that it can't just be ticket sales when it comes to where to put state tournaments. I'm going to make an argument it can't totally be ticket sales unless you're absolutely squeezing every penny and you got to make the budget work. I mean, it's really, really tight, and you need an extra $20,000 out of a Sioux Falls tournament. There's got to be a lot of factors for the kids. Is the facility good enough? You can't just be, hey, we can put this tournament here. Is the facility top-notch? Are the amenities in the community? Are there things for kids to do? Are there things for families to do? What's the community amenities like? What's the experience like for the kids? Do people want to travel to different towns, experience different communities, whether it's Rapid City to Sioux Falls? What's the experience like for the kids? Do they want to go on the road, stay in the hotels, or if you get stuck in one town, that's it? So this is how some states do it. It's like, hey, every state tournament's here, and that's how some states do it. South Dakota continues to rotate. And I'm going to tell you, the fan support is so much different now with statewide TV coverage. The fan support, people don't have to. You don't see big crowds on Thursdays at state basketball. Why is that? Well, if the team wins on Thursday, well, then we might come out Friday. Team loses Thursday, sunshine bracket, it's over. See you. I'll watch it on TV for sure. Good luck. We'll be in the consolation the whole way. That's the type of stuff that's impacted some of these crowds. It does show Sioux Falls better attendance, better ticket revenue. Does that mean Sioux Falls should get the tournaments and a Brookings shouldn't, a Huron shouldn't, an Aberdeen shouldn't, a Rapid City shouldn't? You tell me. South Dakota High School Activities ticket revenue, should that determine where state tournaments are ultimately hosted in the state? You tell me. 605-720-1067. Question of the day on the Nate Brown Show. Do you think ticket revenue should determine where state tournaments are ultimately hosted in South Dakota? The Activities Association needs it. I mean, I understand they need it. It's part of their budget, no doubt. I don't know how tight the budget gets. We'll talk to Dan Sortos. How much do they rely on ticket revenue from the state tournaments? What do you say? Ticket sales should matter the most, or that's not the right way to do it? Right now, we don't do it based on ticket sales. At least the site selection committee says, hey, we're going to put this tournament here, that tournament there, this town, this city, that city. 56% of you on Twitter voting it should be ticket sales determining where we host in South Dakota. 56% say ticket sales matter. 44% no, that's not the right way to do state tournaments. 605-720-1067. Text us on the Barron's Wilson text line. Should ticket sales be the deciding factor for hosting state tournaments? Revenue numbers out today from the Activities Association. We go to USD next. Some big changes in this transfer portal era. The USD football program. Let's get thoughts from John Schemmel. He's running the show at USD, the athletic director, live from Vermilion next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
It seems like the cost of everything is going up, so it's nice to save a little dough when you can, especially for something you love to eat every day. Before I go grocery shopping, I print out a coupon for $1 off any Country Hearth, Village Hearth, or Artisan Hearth bread product. My favorite is Dakota Style 12 grain. My wife's breakfast go-to is a toasted Village Hearth English muffin. We can save $1 on each. Go to countryhearthbreads.com/coupons and print 1 or 2 out before your next shopping trip. And don't forget, Country Hearth, Village Hearth, and Artisan Hearth bread products are baked locally and delivered fresh daily.
Spring is sport utility season at Denny Menno Rushmore Honda. That means great offers on late model SUVs, Fords, GMCs, Toyotas, Nissans, Jeeps, Subarus, Chevys, and more. Nearly 65 to choose from. Plus, we have the area's best selection of pre-owned Honda and Honda certified pre-owned trucks and SUVs. Save big with 0.99% APR on select models. Upgrade your SUV before summer adventures. See us at Denny Menno Rushmore Honda or RushmoreHonda.com. Length of finance contract is limited with qualified credit. Expires 4/30/25.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 63. Northerly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, 35. Overcast tomorrow, slight chance of rain showers. High temperatures reach up to 58. Mixed precipitation likely changing to all rain Thursday, chance for rain on Friday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 55 degrees.
Get ready for the ultimate wing showdown. It's the 5th annual King of Wings, Sunday, April 27th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Box Elder Events Center. Sample your way through 2 epic categories, Heat Seekers
so hot,
and Flavorful Creations.
Delicious. So yummy.
And help crown this year's wing champion. But hurry, tickets are limited and selling fast. Don't miss your chance to be part of this flavor-packed battle. Grab your tickets now at thebox.live before they're gone.
Sprockets Fun Foundry. Joy and fun for everyone. Immerse yourself in another world with virtual reality. Play the newest arcade games for the lanes. Sprockets Fun Foundry. Always family friendly fun. Something for everyone. Birthdays and parties. Online at Sprockets.fun. Sprockets Fun Foundry. Joy and fun for everyone.
In the past, if you needed auto body repair, you had to get multiple estimates and then try to get your car into a shop for repair. Well, not anymore. In most cases, you can stop by one shop, get your estimate, and schedule your car for a repair. The question now becomes which shop you choose. If you like quality, choose J&J Truck and Auto Body. They have ASE, PPG, and Gold iCar certifications that allow them to offer you a nationwide warranty. And they'll work with your insurance company so you're pleased with the outcome. J&J Truck and Auto Body, 1513 East Philadelphia.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux.
Your sports, your show. We're live on Fox Sports Radio, South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Thanks for checking in, making the show possible. We appreciate it. The Nate Brown Show is on. Coming up from Minneapolis, we'll talk to Matthew Collar. He's joining us live. Vikings Insider, talking draft. Vikings have the 24th pick Thursday night. Only 4 picks overall for the Vikes. That's a low number, the lowest you get. Matthew Collar coming up, Purple Insider, Vikings beat writer. Dan Sortos on the way from Pierre, talking high school sports, Executive Director, South Dakota High School Activities Association. Big board meeting tomorrow A lot of interesting topics and things happening in high school sports. Dan Sortos coming up. USD Athletic Director John Schemmel joining us. Always great to have him. Coyotes. Yeah, taking a look at all the springtime right now and everything that goes on, including the transfer portal and all that stuff in today's college sports. USD AD John Schemmel live on the Pizza Ranch Hotline. John, welcome back on. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate you and happy to be here again.
Well, I appreciate the time. Always good to talk Yote Athletics, and I want to get your read on the basketball situation first. When you take a look at where the basketball situation goes, it looks like this, John. People say, well, there's guys and gals that transfer out, and it feels like at a mid-major like USD, you could have a new team every year. What do you talk to your coaches about? Is it a challenge for them to keep the team culture from this year to the next?
Yeah, I think, in this new world, we're all trying to figure out, I think there's a little bit of a difference this year between our men's program and our women's program. But, I think on the men's side first, I think there's some acceptance to the reality of, if you're keeping half your roster together year over year, you're doing pretty well, and losing, a few to graduation and a few to the portal, you're doing pretty well. And Eric's been able to do that pretty consistently the last couple of years. And then, I think for us on the women's side this year, the combination of a lot of things. Yeah, the portal and the money and the market's just crazy this year. Also, Carrie started essentially May 1st last year, and so new coach, new system, different things, and now she's been here a year and can start to implement and recruit kids that fit her style and culture and other things like that. So I think on the women's side, it's a combination of all of the things. But yeah, I think when it comes to basketball, I think you're doing pretty well if you're holding on to half your roster or more every year.
Yeah, the numbers just aren't that big in basketball, so you lose 5-6 players. It's a lot. Let's look at the football side. I want to ask just your opinion of this. There's 2 transfer portal openings, and one hits in the spring for football. You have Travis Johansson there getting himself going, taking over for Bob Nielsen. And a transfer portal window hits in the spring. That's tough for schools like USD, and we've seen some guys that get attracted by big programs. Would you be in favor of saying something with the transfer portal to have one window? How hard is it for spring to open?
Yeah, for me, I'm a big proponent of having one transfer window. Really, the only group it benefits is the Power Four, because that allows them to go through spring ball, collect injuries or weak spots on their team, and then all of a sudden they go, they create a market that's just ridiculous, and the settlement this year is driving the market up. And listen, there's a lot of great agents doing a lot of great things out there, but there's a lot of really bad ones too, representing these kids and causing a lot of problems. But the settlement also is creating kind of a false rise in the market. But I think even with football, we were ready for it. I think we expected to get hit a little bit. Just knowing what we had coming back and knowing, the potential was there for this. And ultimately all these kids, them leaving has nothing to do with anything other than money. We've had kids turn down 6 and even 7-figure offers to stay here for an extra 10, 20 grand. And then all of a sudden the number goes to 1.5 million or 2 million. And sure enough, they're on their way out. But for the most part, these kids are making decisions to leave and crying on their way out because they love this place. And so I think even in the transition, it provides some reassurance in the people you have and the place that you believe in. And you just kind of dust yourself off and it's next man or woman up and you're back in it. And Travis has been prepared to be pretty active in the portal anyways. And obviously he's got to be a little more active than he had initially thought. But, we still have Aiden and Charles and a lot of other great players returning and still a lot to build on for next year.
John Schemmel joining us, USD Athletic Director, talking Yote Athletics on the Nate Brown Show. So what's that discussion like with Coach Johansson on the football side? strategically, I just wonder how you do approach this because, hey, well, we expected to get hit a little bit. So what's the right approach? He's got to get into the portal, too. You got to develop some high school kids. What's the right strategy?
Yeah, I think, it continues. The right strategy is an evolving one right now just because, the rules tend to keep changing every day or, even Charlie Baker sent out an email this morning saying 150 rules in the NCAA are going to go away, but that's all pending the settlement. So I think the best strategy is one that involves you being fluid and adaptable to any and all situations. But we do hope this will settle down at some point. The portal's not going anywhere. We do think and hope this year is a little bit of an inflated craziness just because of all the different moving parts to it. But I think with Travis or any coach, it's hey, let's have a really clear plan and let's make sure we're resourcing the things that are important to you and to us the right way, knowing we don't have the resources of some of these schools to do everything. But that includes, money above scholarships, and we're certainly positioned much better than we were a year ago, and we think that'll continue year over year. And certainly to be able to go out and be competitive in the market, to get talented kids that are going to come here and play. We're well positioned for that. And then strategically for us, we decided not to opt into the settlement at this time for this reason, because now we know we got kids leaving the portal, but now we don't have to worry about any roster limits or anything like that. We can bring in whoever we want and however many we want to get through all of this. And so there was part of our strategy to not opt in was to prepare for this as well at this time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. USD, a lot of these schools here in the Missouri Valley Summit League not opting in to the House settlement. That's the big direct payments situation coming down to athletes as it gets settled. Let me ask you, how much effort do you think, John, you should put in working with donors and Coyote supporters on the NIL side? I feel like, well, you probably got to do something, but you're not going to stop some of these guys that left this last week on the football side because the money's too big. So how much effort goes into the NIL?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have, and that's been probably the biggest thing we've worked on strategically, because we are not losing kids to G5 schools, let alone FCS or anything like that. They are all going to Power 4 schools, and or there might be a couple here and there that get Power 4 money to go to a G5 or something like that. But at least in football right now, everyone we've lost has been to Power 4. And so at least ones that, were projected starters and things like that. So, so with that, it's talking to donors. And for us and for me strategically, it hasn't been, hey, we're gonna ask you to dump anything and everything you can into the NIL pot, because that isn't our market, right? You're right. We can't compete with Nebraska, and we're not trying to when it comes to NIL. But we have to make sure we're competitive, and we still have a little bit of work to do to make sure we're better positioned, within the Dakotas, Montanas, schools like that. We don't want to lose kids to Wyoming and other places like that, and, MAC schools and all that kind of stuff. So really kind of setting our market more thoughtful that way. And then really, honestly, Nate, a lot of what we've tried to do is more retention-focused, because, like I said, we have been able to keep kids that turn down high 6- and 7-figure offers for $10, $20,000 because they do love it here. And I think you saw the same thing in Brookings. It was hard for these kids, but then the money gets to a certain point where it's so ridiculous you can't blame the kid for going. And so I think we have to be able to pay 10, 20, 30, maybe up to $50,000 here and there in certain spots, but then you're certainly not doing that across the board. And then we're all kind of holding our breath, just trying to figure out what our market is going to be in all of this. And I think for us, because we don't know what our market is, we certainly haven't been out there telling our donors, hey, put all your money into NIL. And candidly, our donors in the state of South Dakota have been a little bit slow to draw on that. And that's not hugely surprising considering who we are in this state, right? We're a pretty conservative group of folks here. And And that's why we love living here. So, our donors have embraced it. I think we still got some work to do, but I think as much as anything, it's just trying to let the market play out, and that's going to be a top-down, unfortunately. So we got some time before we really understand what that is, and until then, we're just doing the best we can with what we have.
A couple more quick ones for John Schemmel joining us, giving us an update on USD. Good to have the AD for the Yotes on the Nate Brown Show tonight on Fox Sports Radio. I saw last week you just had a record night. You have this fundraising event, Calling All Coyotes. You had a record-breaking night, so I'm looking at it going, well, are donors worried about the state of college sports? You guys drew a lot of revenue last week. Tell us about how people are engaged.
Yeah, and that event, that's been our marquee event since I was here, way back in 2013 or 14, we started that Calling All Coyotes event. And so it's a great celebration, and it's a good opportunity to celebrate our student-athletes and have our student-athletes engage directly with our donors and our coaches as well. I think it's just proof that our donors are continuing to respond. I mean, that was an event that before last year had never surpassed $380,000 or $390,000, and last year we hit $600,000. This year we surpassed $800,000. We had 2 really big gifts publicly get announced in the fall, and other ones that have closed that just haven't been announced. And so there's a lot of really good momentum for us right now. We still have a big capital project we're fine-tuning here, and we'll come out publicly with that. But we're still focusing on a lot of the traditional things, the facilities and scholarships and all of that stuff, and then we're adding in the NIL and the collectives and all these other things to make sure we don't lose our edge in recruiting. And again, I think just some of the craziness with the settlement and everything going on right now is adding to it. But I still like where we're positioned. And I think just year over year, it's going to get better and better.
By the way, I just saw some reporting on Summit League, Missouri Valley conferences looking at potential football partnership. What do you think there moving forward? There going to be some Summit League teams playing some football in the Missouri Valley?
Yeah, really what it allows us to do is it really establishes a little bit of continuity with the Missouri Valley Football Conference, and to do that, with us for Dakota schools being in the Summit League, we were a little bit in a stalemate, or the Summit League has been over the years, where, we've had members potentially interested in joining, but we haven't been able to provide a football answer to them. So really what this allows us to do now is it allows the Summit League to go out, potentially add a member that's a football-playing member, and now we have an answer to give them for football as well. And so it certainly better positions the Summit League to be able and protect its entirety of its membership. And then, obviously, we're going to look to continue to make the Missouri Valley Football Conference the strongest in the country every year.
Is that Summit League basketball tournament going to stay in Sioux Falls, John? People want to know.
I sure think it is in the short term, at least. And then, you guys, as you can imagine, I'm certainly a proponent of that. So, I've said it a lot of times that we need to do seating a little bit differently and a little more like we do it, or all the other conferences in the country do it. But I think other than that, I think it'd be crazy to leave Sioux Falls in South Dakota, because this state supports that tournament like no other mid-major does in the country. So, you can't have it both ways all the time. It can't always be about money and all these other things, and then you're going to say, well, no, we'll go play in an empty arena somewhere else and turn our backs on the money. So that doesn't really add up. So I sure am optimistic and hopeful about it. And I know there's a committee working on that, and hopefully we'll have some clarity and finality to that pretty soon.
Great.
But I'm optimistic.
I'm with you on that. I think a lot of people would be. It's been a great tournament. It's a great event. John Schemmel tonight, USD Athletic Director. Great insight taking us through the Yote Athletics right now as springtime's bringing some things that normally didn't bring. John, good to have you. Thanks for coming on.
You bet. Thanks, Nate. Always happy to join you, and go Yotes.
Appreciate your time. John Schemmel tonight on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. The Yote Athletic Director live from Vermilion. Appreciate his insight. Good stuff and a breakdown across the board there on NIL, where the Coyotes are at on the transfer portal, their vision and plan, how they Try to stay in the game. USD Athletic Director John Schemmel tonight. Getting us started. Now we go NFL Draft. Vikings fans, what do you say? Vikes have 4 picks. That's it. It's one of the lowest numbers since the draft went to 7 rounds. They got 4 picks. Matthew Collar on the Vikings plan. PurpleInsider.com next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Military, first responders, teachers, Renewal by Andersen is offering a heartfelt thank you with its first ever appreciation sale. 20% off every window and door, no money down, no interest, and no payments for 18 months. Plus an additional 9% off if purchased on the initial consultation. That's 29% off. Military, first responders, teachers, this is a limited time offer, so do not wait. Please book your free estimate right now at RBARapidCity.com.
Outdoors for lasting family memories with a new or pre-owned RV from Dakota Discount RV. We make your RV experience fun and easy by providing you with a quality recreational vehicle, competitive pricing, and professional sales and service. Our large inventory of fifth-wheelers, travel trailers, toy haulers, and live-in horse trailers allows us to save our customers thousands of dollars compared to most dealers. Stop by and see us at Dakota Discount RV, 3330 East Mall Drive across from Cabela's and on JB Road, Blackhawk. Collins Siding has been the region's premier window siding, door, and gutter installation specialist since 1974. They use only the highest quality materials and never compromise on their workmanship. Collins Siding is licensed, bonded, and their estimates always include labor, materials, and applicable permits and taxes. Collins Siding has been providing top quality service and exceeding high standards for over 45 years, and you can find out how by visiting them at 2016 Cherry Avenue. Collins Siding, 2016 Cherry Avenue, Rapid City.
It's the trade-in sell-down event at Spearfish GMC Cadillac, and that means lot-wide deals on our entire lineup of locally sourced pre-owned vehicles. Choose from all makes and models, trucks, cars, SUVs, and certified pre-owned, all priced below market for unbeatable value. Whether you're trading in or trading up, now is the time to save big at Spearfish Motors. Visit us today or browse anytime at spearfishmotors.com.
Hi, this is David Brenneman with Coldwell Banker Black Hills Legacy in Rapid City. With today's home values, right now could be a great time to sell your home. The Black Hills housing market is competitive, and I would love to help you get top dollar for your home. I have been selling real estate and attracting buyers in Rapid City for nearly 20 years. When it comes to buying or selling, experience matters. If you're thinking of selling your current home, let me put my expertise to work for you. Just Google David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker. List it, sell it, and move on. With me, David Brenneman, Coldwell Banker.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
It is South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Thanks for being here. It's always a great day in South Dakota. Say it with me. Glad you're a part of the program. Tuesday edition. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio, streaming right now on X as well, at Nate Brown Show. If you're on X, follow the show and you can watch us live at Nate Brown Show. Vikings draft 24th, Thursday night. So what are they going to do? They got 4 picks. Let's go to Matthew Collar talking Vikings, draft, and more. Find him at PurpleInsider.com. Purple Insider. He's on Twitter as well at Matthew Collar. Matthew, welcome on. How are you?
I'm good. 4 picks has made mock drafts pretty easy to come up with for the Vikings, I would say.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see how good you can get. There was somebody throwing out for the 24th pick. Well, all these picks are the same. You should trade it and get some more capital here. What do you say?
Yes and no, because if you're saying that, you have to tell me who's on the board at number 24. I think the Vikings, if somebody that they absolutely love drops to 24, then they'll just take them. And if that doesn't happen, then they'll try to move down, although in this draft it might be hard to move down because there are a lot of teams that it seems want to try to make that move, and maybe not a lot of players that teams are moving up for. And the quarterback situation doesn't appear, as some people have mocked the Giants trying to trade up, but it's kind of a tough sell because the teams that draft around where the Vikings are at, these are all the teams that made the playoffs and have answers at quarterback, so they would not be picking a Shedeur Sanders or Jalen Milroe. So I'm not convinced the Vikings could move back with a team that needs a quarterback, which means how far back can you go? Would you have to go back a ways for somebody who's moving up for a player they love? Like, there's many, many different options here, but I do think that we've seen it before where going into the 2020 draft, I thought there is no chance that Justin Jefferson is on the board. I laughed at Vikings fans who said, hey, what if that guy falls to us? I was like, are you serious? Did you see him in college? And, here he is. So it happens sometimes that the mock draft community, the draft analysts, they don't foresee somebody falling down a board, and then that player's very high for the Vikings. So I think sticking and picking at 24 is a very realistic possibility, but if there's nobody there that's a shocking drop from the top, they probably will do everything they can to get a little more draft capital.
So what's your assessment of the Vikings having this low number of picks, one of the lower numbers since the draft went to 7 rounds? It's 4 picks. What's your assessment of is that a hitter to this organization, or for the moves they made, are they okay?
Yeah, I think they're okay. I mean, the one thing is you always have to be developing players through your pipeline one way or the other, because you can't just always go into free agency and make all the moves that they made this year. Even though J.J. McCarthy is on his rookie contract and he's cheap and that's great, there are expensive players on this roster. Jefferson, Hawkinson, Darisaw, Grenard, like these guys are taking up a lot of cap space, and eventually you'll get into trouble if you can't develop players and you always have to buy in free agency. And then if somebody doesn't turn out to be as good as Jonathan Grenard in free agency, you're kind of up a creek. So I think, would obviously prefer to have more draft picks than they do. How much of an impact that's really going to have is somewhat questionable. I mean, I remember all the years of Rick Spielman taking 4 7th-round picks, and they got nothing out of them. I mean, I was looking through the Vikings' best 7th-round picks ever, and I came up with, or at least in the last 20 years, and I came up with like Jeff Dugan and B.C. Johnson, who are two kind of short-run, forgettable type of roster filler players. So, I mean, the odds of a 7th-rounder or 6th-rounder or 5th-rounder turning out to be a needle-moving player are probably not that much different from undrafted free agents. And I think that's where the Vikings have really shined in the last couple of years, is they've gone in and gotten top-rated undrafted free agents, some of which have turned into good players for them. So, yeah, I mean, I think it can hurt, especially if some of the younger players they have on the roster don't develop who they're expecting over the next couple of years. But I also think that it's star players who win games for teams. And if you get one star player at 24 and nothing else, you're going to be fine. You're going to figure out other ways to fill out the rest of a roster.
Matthew Coller talking Vikings. You can find him at purpleinsider.com. He's here on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Vikings, if they stay with the 24th pick, Matthew, who do you want to get, or what type of position do you want?
There's so many different options that if you say, hey, what if they got this guy? I'd be like, that sounds like a good idea. There's like 8 different guys that I could make that case for. But, if Jahdae Barron, the cornerback from Texas, were to drop, and he's projected right now in the middle of the first, but so was Quinyon Mitchell last year, Terrion Arnold, Cooper DeJean, and those corners dropped into either the late first or out of the first round. So we've seen that happen a number of times in recent years where the draft analysis community is higher on a corner than the NFL is. That would be a guy that I run the pick in because I think he's a perfect fit for the Vikings. The position that I don't see being mocked very often at all, which doesn't really make sense to me, is the defensive tackle position. I think the Vikings brought in two guys to hold down that spot for a couple years, but not long-term type of options. So if a Walter Nolan or a Derek Harmon or Kenneth Grant is there, which I think there's a really good chance one of them is on the board by the time the Vikings pick, I think adding another beast to that interior, considering, and, you know, we can all just look at the team that won the Super Bowl, but look at the team that won the Super Bowl. They had like 4 good defensive tackles. I think you can never have enough of those guys, and the Vikings have lacked an interior pressure presence for a while. I think you'd love to have someone that you can have there for a long period of time to be a difference maker as a pass rusher on the interior, and this is the right draft to do it because there are 3, 4, maybe even 5 guys that have that potential to be significant pass rushers.
So J.J. McCarthy cleared for off-season work here. Vikings were talking this week. What did you learn here? What did we learn about where we think J.J. McCarthy's at?
I think the biggest thing was just Kevin O'Connell saying there's no limitations, which means that he is good to go and he can start the entire process from day one as QB1. And I don't care if O'Connell won't officially say it. It's very clear that this is J.J. McCarthy's franchise. And, you know, last year, it's funny because I'll hear sometimes, well, he's essentially a rookie. But not really, because if he was a rookie, he wouldn't even get to come to this, you know, and get started on the offense and be in these meetings. He would just be showing up, figuring out where to park. I mean, he knows the entire offense, and they tailored his rehab around the offense. So as he's getting back to throwing over the last couple of months, he's throwing the passes that he's going to throw when it gets to OTAs, minicamp, training camp, and he's got a pretty significant amount of time to really get ready for this season and to lock into Kevin O'Connell's offense, which he's been working with and studying since the moment he arrived here last year. So I expect J.J. McCarthy to hit the ground running. You know, from all we've seen of him and from all Kevin O'Connell has said, he put the weight back on that he lost during the rehab process and all that and is 100% ready to go. So now, hey, kid, welcome to a 14-win team. The expectations are high. The schedule's hard. It's the NFL, baby. Here you go. So, you know, I think it's very exciting for them because they've had to wait so long for McCarthy. But I also think that it's a situation where he's expected to be really good right away, that there's not a lot of patience here when you win as many games as you did last year with a different quarterback. So it's a very unique spot for J.J. McCarthy taking over.
So no extension yet for Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. Is his extension relying on how good J.J. McCarthy is?
No, I don't think so. I think that his extension will be done before training camp starts.
Okay.
You know, when we went down to the owners' meetings in Florida and sat down with Mark Wilf, the owner of the Vikings, he was adamant that he does not want to see anything change with this leadership, that he wants Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah in charge the same way he has been, working with Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores. Like, they love this leadership group. Why shouldn't they? They won 14 games last year when they were supposed to win 6 or 7. And they've accomplished a lot in these couple of years to rebuild a team that was in a really, really difficult spot when they took over. So, I mean, I think even just the fact that they have McCarthy here is an accomplishment, the way they've built the roster around him. They have high expectations. Like, this isn't a time where you're going to judge one season of a young quarterback and say, we're going to keep you or get rid of you. And people have asked me, well, are they waiting to see how he drafts? Like, of course not. We don't know if drafts are good for 3 years. So I think what it really comes down to is probably the most obvious thing, that it's likely just money. And I'm sure his representation's trying to get the most. I'm sure the Vikings are trying to weigh that against some other Super Bowl winning GMs and things like that and decide on a price. And I also think Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah has been really darn busy. I mean, this guy signed more players, I think, this offseason than any other team in the NFL, and then right out of the frying pan and into the fire of the NFL draft. I think they just need to be done with all this first, and then they'll get that finished up. But the fact that Mark Wilf was absolutely adamant that they don't want any changes says to me there's nothing to worry about here.
Matthew Collar on tonight. Follow him at Matthew Collar. His site, purpleinsider.com. Vikings writer from the Twin Cities. Matthew, always great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time. Matthew Collar on the Vikings draft. Just 4 picks for the Vikes. The 24th pick Thursday night, their first-round pick. Matthew Collar tonight, purpleinsider.com. Okay, stay with me on the draft. I'm going to make this statement. You might say I'm crazy. This isn't hot take Nate Brown. This isn't hot take time. I experienced years ago a terrible pick by my team. And yes, I said it was terrible. It was terrible. And it proves out still today to be a bad pick. I think this team Thursday night can't afford to risk doing the bad thing my team did. I'll tell you who they got to take Thursday next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Save big money on all of your Purdy tools to help you finish your next painting project. Menards carries Purdy paintbrushes, roller covers, prep tools, trays, kits, and more to help you get the job done right. Purdy brushes have been handcrafted in the USA for 100 years and are the #1 brand preferred by professionals. Save big on Purdy painting tools, and don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
Hey, Sioux Falls sports fans, there's a great new sports bar in Sioux Falls, Boston's Restaurant and Sports Bar on West Russell Street in the Ramada Water Park Hotel. If you want to watch games, UFC, they've got it, wall-to-wall TVs, and the best part, great food. Gourmet pizza at Boston's, tons of wing options, great burgers, and a lot more. Bring the family, bring the team, bring your crew to the new Boston's Restaurant and Sports Bar in Sioux Falls on West Russell Street. Plus, you can order online for lunch or dinner. Just go to bostons.com.
Monument Health Orthopedic and Sports Medicine is here when you need us for the extreme athletes or those everyday activities. From kiddos with broken bones to retirees with creaky knees. Whether you're pumping iron or planting petunias, we'll be in our clinic locations throughout the region working together. Monument Health Orthopedic and Sports Medicine, getting you moving again so you can confidently say, I'm back. Go to monument.health/orthopedics to find out more.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. 35 tonight, under partly cloudy skies, northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. High of 58 tomorrow, slight chance for showers. 37 tomorrow night, rain likely. High of 44 Thursday, with mixed precipitation likely changing to all rain. Chance of rain 49 on Friday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, 57.
This isn't just the sound of a legendary Brunswick pool table. It's the sound of families about to make memories together. And while this may sound like the hum of a spa, listen closely, and you'll hear backyard fun for years to come. So while Splash City's guarantee of quality sure sounds good, we know quality time sounds even better.
Who wants another burger? Splash City, 1024 West Omaha, across from Connects in Rapid City.
Hey, sports parents and ballers of all ages, Rapid City has a new sports facility that you have to check out. E3 Sports Complex on East North Street is the newest indoor sports facility featuring 4 full courts. E3 Sports is here to serve the community and wants all athletes of any age to come and experience expert training, coaching, and the opportunity to unlock your athletic potential. Memberships and court rentals are available now. Come to play at E3 Sports Complex. Learn more at e3sports.org.
So, I just got the State Farm Personal Price Plan on my car insurance.
So you told your agent you play the bagpipes for your dog?
What? No, I didn't get that personal. My agent just helped me create an affordable price just for me. Okay, let me show you what I've been working on. Hey, Buster!
Contact me, State Farm agent Scott Carlson, to create your personal price plan today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
This is The Nate Brown Show, also streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
Welcome back in South Dakota Sports Talk Show, live Fox Sports Radio. Coming up, Dan Swartos. Hang on. South Dakota High School Activities Association Executive Director joins us live tonight. A lot of high school sports topics to hit. South Dakota High School Board meeting tomorrow. The Activities Association Board getting together. So Dan Swartos coming up. We'll hit a lot of the hot topics in South Dakota High School sports. He's live from Pierre. Chris Stabner's going to come on later. Former head coach, Rapid City Stevens boys basketball. 10 years as head coach for the Raiders, and he resigns. Why did he step away? We'll talk to Chris Stabner coming up as well. Of course, a great player, South Dakota State, South Dakota high school player, and did a nice job at Stevens. He resigns. He is coming up. So Thursday night, you all know I'm an NFL draft fan. I'm not like supercharged like crazy, but I'm gonna be into it. And I think many of you are into it just by the sign. I mean, that's what everybody talks about is the draft and your team and the whole thing. So it's always interesting who you're going to pick. Let's go back. I'm going to take you through a history lesson from my personal experience so I can help you guys not make a stupid mistake Thursday night. We're going to go back. I'm a Denver Broncos fan. You all know this by now, I hope. If you don't, I need to be a little more of a homer. But I'm going to go back, and the Denver Broncos have been looking for a quarterback. They needed a quarterback. You might remember this. Well, we had Brock Osweiler after Peyton Manning. That didn't work out so well. And then we found some guy named Paxton Lynch. I don't know where he ended up being, but he cried on the field, and that was it. So then we needed a quarterback. And there was some kid out of Wyoming. Massive arm, massive athleticism, a great character guy, a great leader, a great teammate. And John Elway went to watch him. His name was Josh Allen, and he thought, just down the road in Laramie, Wyoming, this is a perfect fit. The Broncos have the 5th pick in the draft, the 5th pick. And the Denver Broncos select Bradley Chubb, edge rusher out of North Carolina State. Huh? Say, oh, Bradley Chubb's a good player. He was a nice player for you guys. Nice players don't feed the bulldog. Where have the Broncos been since the nice player was drafted? Bradley Chubb's not going to take you to the next level. So the Broncos missed, and it set the franchise back to beginning stages, and finally we might have Bo Nix. Who knows? I don't know where Bo Nix is going to take us. We're improved. I don't know, but we know what Josh Allen's done for the Bills organization, from nothing to everything. And in the top tier of the NFL, that's what one pick can do when you mess it up. And the Broncos blew it. John Elway, I'd never say, I mean, that was, he won the Super Bowl for us, got Peyton Manning, and then he went south. Old Lord Elway that everybody thought was perfect, messed it up big time. Couldn't do it. Didn't take the risk. So the Broncos missed on Josh Allen, and the Bills took him later. What's going to happen Thursday night for the New York Giants? The New York Giants, similar spot, the 3rd pick. The New York Giants have to get a quarterback. They messed up Daniel Jones. It's just like Paxton Lynch. Daniel Jones a little bit better. You couldn't get much worse. They messed up Daniel Jones. They've been looking for a quarterback ever since Eli Manning. So it's the same story, and it's going to happen again Thursday night. They don't want to take the risk on Shedeur Sanders. I'm not telling you Shedeur Sanders is Josh Allen. I'll take Josh all day, and I've said that from the beginning when he was at Wyoming. You can go back to the archives. But I'm telling you, the Giants have the 3rd pick, and they're going to blow it. They're going to say, let's go with an edge rusher out of Penn State, Abdul Carter. Nice player. Not going to take you to the next level. And then Russell Wilson will do what he does, and he's on his way out. My boy Russ, you guys will drag him through the mud, so I'm looking forward to that. But remember I said today, the Giants should take a QB, because my point is this. Not comparing Shedeur to Josh Allen, but you have to take a QB when you need one at that spot. Well, the QBs aren't as good. They're just not as good. You have to take one when you need one. Do you question the Vikings taking J.J. McCarthy that early? They needed a quarterback. They had to take him. By all accounts, you, as the Giants, third pick, you got to go Shedeur Sanders. It's not about, well, we're worried about that. You're going to have Abdul Carter, Penn State edge rusher, nice player. Nobody's going to care in 4 years. Shedeur Sanders should be who the Giants take, and I have a feeling they won't. Into the second hour tonight. Let's see, listener text coming in. I like some reaction on this. Nate, sounds like you need to let go of the past. Never. It was post-traumatic stress for me. Every time I watch Josh Allen do what he does, I wonder, that could have been my Denver Broncos, right? And now I'm forced to watch Sean Payton, Sparky, figure it out. We're trying. Let's see here. Second hour tonight. I want to kick it off with this. So there is this Rapid City sports facility that we learned about last night. So on this show, we talked to the Sports Commission Executive Director. We learned quite a bit about it. What does this mean for Rapid City if they can get this done, an indoor sports facility, and the details? I'm going to get into that. And then tonight, Minnesota sports fans, I got to ask you, what do you guys do with a situation like tonight? I got a question of the day. Hang on.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Military, first responders, teachers, Renewal by Andersen is offering a heartfelt thank you with its first ever appreciation sale. 20% off every window and door, no money down, no interest, and no payments for 18 months. Plus an additional 9% off if purchased on the initial consultation. That's 29% off. Military, first responders, teachers, this is a limited time offer, so do not wait. Please book your free estimate right now at rbarapidcity.com.
The best used cars and trucks are at the place that sells the best used cars and trucks, Denny Menho Toyota. Choose from better quality pre-owned and buy with no down and make no payments for 90 days. Shop used Toyotas and Toyota certified pre-owned with financing as low as 4.99% APR for up to 60 months. For the best used vehicles, see us first at Denny Menho Toyota or DennyMenhoToyota.com. 1887 for 1,000 finance, regardless of down with qualified credit. Expires 4/30/2025.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
Building your Black Hills dream? Builder's First Source in Rapid City, Spearfish, and Hot Springs has you covered. Top quality materials, product expertise, all your building needs in one place for materials and services. Just stop in or start at BLDR.com. That's BLDR.com. Builder's First Source. Build it.
My reason why is community.
My reason why is leadership.
My reason why is to inspire others.
Why do thousands of teenagers here in South Dakota participate in high school sports and activities?
My reason why is friendship.
Their reasons are as diverse as the students themselves. But the one thing they all share is the opportunity to have fun and learn important life lessons. Lessons like supporting their community, learning how to be a leader, and building lifelong friendships.
My reason why is defying expectations.
Is there a grade school or middle school student in your family? Then encourage them to participate in a sport or activity when they go to high school.
My reason why is to make a change in the world.
This message presented by the NFHS and the South Dakota High School Activities Association.
One more time.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
Hey, thanks for being here. Tuesday edition of the program. It is South Dakota Sports Talk Show. The Nate Brown Show live, Fox Sports Radio, every afternoon drive. Remember, you can stream us live on X. If you're on X, follow the show and watch us live at Nate Brown Show. Easy to do, and on YouTube as well, so you can get us right there. It's free. Subscribe to the channel, The Nate Brown Show, and you've got us. We'll talk high school sports this hour. Hang on for Dan Swartos joining us live from Pierre, Executive Director, South Dakota High School Activities Association. A lot to discuss with him. The board meeting is coming up tomorrow. Chris Stabner joining us live later this hour. Former head coach, Rapid City Stevens boys basketball. He resigns. Why'd he step away after 10 years? We'll talk to Coach Stabner coming up. A couple of things I want to hit tonight for you. If you missed some of the show last night, there's a new indoor sports facility that's being proposed for Rapid City. And this would be the biggest indoor sports facility ever in Rapid City by far. So I was talking to Rapid City Sports Commission Executive Director D'Amico Rodriguez last night, and some of the details we found out. If you missed it, I just want to go through some of the highlights. So why this is being brought up now, the Rapid City Vision Fund is taking a look at numerous projects as I speak right now. The presentation started today. It continues into tomorrow. The Rapid City Sports Commission, that's the organization that got started a few years ago. They've been putting this plan together, a future strategic plan for Rapid City sports and what the community needs. This is the biggie, indoor sports facility. And here are the details. 8 basketball courts, 1 location, 16 volleyball courts, 1 full indoor soccer field. That would be turfed, and then you could break it up into smaller fields for drills, practices, indoor soccer matches. So it's a big project, and the thought there is it's kind of like the Sioux Falls Sanford complex combined. The Pentagon with the basketball courts, with the field house, that type of scenario, but in one building. So $52 million is the price tag. They're proposing to try to get $10 million from the Vision Fund, and then to fund it moving forward in some of the operations, looking at the new hotel tax that Rapid City hotels are for, saying we could add this in with visitors coming to the Black Hills all throughout the year to help pay for that funding model to keep operations and things of that nature going for the indoor sports facility. So it's a nice project. It's something I've talked about on this show long time ago, and I'm clueless, right? Everybody knows I'm a clueless radio person, I fully admit. But I talked about it a long time ago. I said, if Rapid City's looking at something, and probably not going to do outdoor this or a huge complex outdoor of baseball or softball or soccer. You know, there's some of those anyway, but probably not going to add there. I said indoors for South Dakota, and I said the indoor hard court stuff, that's where you're going to feed the bulldog. Where you can go volleyball, you can go basketball, you can go cheer, competitive cheer. You can put events like that in a place like this. So it's just well positioned that way to get numerous sports, and during a time that Rapid City and the Black Hills need visitors, they're going to try and run that during the time. Yeah, it's not a summer thing. They don't need economic impact in the summer. You need sports tourism in the off months. So I've always thought that's the smartest play. Now, here's the thing about it. I have a feeling people in the Rapid City community are going to say what? Not you, but you guys are plugged in. Not you, but people in the Rapid City community, I have a feeling, are going to say, an indoor sports facility? We just did the monument. We just had to do the monument. We voted for that. Bunch of money in there. The monuments get. What about that? That's not an indoor sports facility. It's not even close. The monument has to be separated out of. That is for events, concerts, conventions, all of that in between. The monument is an event venue, not an indoor sports facility. We got 8 courts, 16 courts, turf, the whole thing. Much different attraction. You're trying to get much different consumer, much different events all throughout the year. So I just say that because I hear that quite a bit from folks just in the community. Well, we spent money on stuff. It doesn't work. We spent money on stuff. We put money in the monument. We don't have enough events. These sports facilities get events. I've seen it across the region. People know that in Sioux Falls. You guys know that. Sanford Complex is popping. They got turf indoors. They got the Pentagon. They got the complex outside with the turf. I mean, it's popping. It's like, well, Rapid City's different. Different part of the state, different travel there. No, it is. And that's why there's a big facility in Casper, Wyoming, middle of nowhere. Casper, Wyoming, middle of nowhere. The Ranch just started. Huge indoor sports complex. Very big year in its first year. Rapid City has to be in that spot. And it's not, well, the monument, why don't we use that? Totally different. And I hope people are aware of that. By the way, let's get to our second question of the day tonight. So here's what's going on. This is just a fun one. Tonight, the Timberwolves play the Lakers. You care, right? Timberwolves, Lakers tonight, and then the Wild take on the Vegas Golden Knights. So you got 2 Minnesota sports teams tonight, same night, in the playoffs. Wild are trying to not go down 2-0. Timberwolves try to go up 2-0 on the Lakers. My point in bringing it up, the Minnesota Wild start at 10 o'clock Central because they're playing in Vegas. They got them on ESPN tonight. The Minnesota Wild, 10 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Mountain. How about the Timberwolves? The Wolves take on the Lakers, 9 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Mountain. I mean, I'm sitting here going, are we going to stay up? Do people stay up and watch this thing? The Vegas Golden Knights and the Wild don't start till 10 o'clock Central? How about you? You tell me. And it doesn't have to be the Wolves and Wild, but a lot of you guys love that. If your team is playing a really late, maybe it's a Mountain West deal at 8:30 at night during college football, wherever you're at. If your team's playing really late, do you stay up and watch? That's what I want to know, okay? If your team is playing really late, like tonight, this is the perfect storm. Timberwolves at 9 Central, 8 Mountain. It's more going to be like 9:15, hate to tell you, 8:15 Mountain. Timberwolves, Lakers, late. The Wild, even later. Do you stay up? This is a Tuesday night. You hardly stay up to listen to the Nate Brown Show. I mean, it's a tragedy. But do you stay up to watch your teams if you're passionate about them? You stay up or you bag it? I really want to know. Question of the day, 605-720-1067 on the text line. Vote in my question of the day tonight. Listen, reaction coming in right away. I could stay up, but would still fall asleep and miss most of the games. That doesn't make sense, Chuck. I could stay up, but you fall asleep. So you don't stay up. You're done. You got to be a gamer. I'm asking if you stay up and watch the games, these late games tonight. Wild and Wolves, really late tonight. Are you passionate enough to stay up? 605-720-1067 on the Barons-Wilson text line. Let's go to the Twitter vote. This is tight. By the way, we got a Matt Kearney vote from the Nate Brown Show producer. He says he stays up late for college football. He told me he stays up late for college football games that are on late at night. He even said he would watch San Jose State and Nevada. Boy, Matt, we got to talk. That's tough. Let's see here. 49% of you say, yes, I'll stay up for my team. 51% of you say, no, I got to get to sleep. I got to work. What is my answer? I stayed up last night, watched Nuggets. I watched the Nuggets last night. Clippers, that was a great game. They've had 2 great games. So I stayed up late. Nuggets, Clippers in the late window last night. And I'll be staying up tonight. Wolves, Lakers. You better believe that. You know that. But it's a tight vote. I'm surprised. 51% of you say, I got to get sleep. I got to work. 49% of you say, I'll stay up for my team. You tell me, are you staying up late? Do you stay up late or do you really pack it in? I mean, you get old like me. I got to have a fruit cup in the park at 4 o'clock, and it's early bedtime for me. You get old like me, it's tough. It's tough. Do you stay up? 605-720-1067. Wild and Wolves late tonight. Coming back with high school sports, Dan Swartos, Executive Director of the Activities Association, next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Military, first responders, teachers, Renewal by Andersen is offering a heartfelt thank you with its first ever appreciation sale. 20% off every window and door, no money down, no interest, and no payments for 18 months. Plus an additional 9% off if purchased on the initial consultation. That's 29% off. Military, first responders, teachers, this is a limited time offer, so do not wait. Please book your free estimate right now at rbarapidcity.com.
Rapid City forecast. 35 tonight under partly cloudy skies, northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. High of 58 tomorrow, slight chance for showers. 37 tomorrow night, rain likely. High of 44 Thursday with mixed precipitation likely changing to all rain. Chance of rain 49 on Friday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, 57.
Get ready to swing into spring at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort with grand prize drawings that will win you a different kind of green. We've teamed up with Elkhorn Ridge Golf Club to bring you grand prize drawings every Friday and Saturday night in April. We'll draw for free rounds of golf, and one lucky winner each night will win a couple's membership. Elkhorn Ridge offers a full resort experience with tennis courts, a pool, restaurant, bar, and one of the nicest golf courses in the area. Swing into spring and take your game to the next level, exclusively at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort in Deadwood.
Being in business has its rewards as well as its challenges. It means being the first one in the door in the morning and turning off the lights when you leave at night. Your business is unique, and you need a bank that understands your needs. You deserve the best. You need a financial partner that is invested in your success. You need Pioneer Bank and Trust. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
The doctors and staff at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center have provided expert bone, joint, and muscle care to patients in the Black Hills area since 1976. Whether you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just want to continue your active lifestyle, the orthopedic experts at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center will help you stay in the game. Don't let an injury keep you from doing the things you love. Trust the team at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center, specializing in what moves you. Learn more at bhosc.com.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
Hey, thanks for being here on a Tuesday. It's always a great day in South Dakota. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live, Fox Sports Radio. The Nate Brown Show with Dan Swartos on the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. South Dakota High School Activities Association Executive Director. Dan, welcome back on. How are you?
Doing well. My youngest is 6, and I got to take him to soccer practice tonight. So it's been fun watching him.
I like it. Just getting going.
Yeah.
Okay, get ready. I've been through this soccer thing. Get ready. Okay? Get ready.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. It's going to get serious. Only by 7, okay? So you got one more year to get really serious.
All right.
All right, let's get into this. I want to ask you, you got the annual meeting coming up, board meeting, and there's some things to discuss here. First, I want to go to this revenue, though. I really find this interesting, and you guys put this out when it comes to state events. You kind of look at, here's what we budgeted, here's what actually came in gate receipts for all these state events. And some cities have more gate revenue than other cities. How important is the revenue you make off of state tournaments to the Activities Association?
Well, it's really important to us. I mean, we don't receive any state funding. All of our funding comes from gate receipts of state events, corporate sponsorships, and officials registration. So it's really important to us. And, for better or worse, there's kind of a small number of events that fund a lot of the other things that we do. So, your big events like the 6 state basketball tournaments, state wrestling, state football, state track and field, those fund a lot of our other events. For things like one-act play, debate, oral and terp, we're not allowed, because of copyright and stuff, we don't charge any gate for that. So the proceeds we make from that help us cover events where we don't charge a gate, help us cover a lot of other things, insurance, catastrophic insurance for the kids, for every kid in the state. And so it's really important to us.
I look at some of the revenues. I'm not going to go through every state event, but I said some cities get significantly better revenue. A lot of East River events do well. There's a lot of folks back there, schools, fans. Maybe it's not as much travel across the state for some of these events. Do you think revenue from tickets should factor in for site selection?
No, I mean, we look at it more of, the venues that can hold what we want to do. And for a lot of our venues, for a lot of our sports, there's only a couple of venues that are the size enough to host it. And, a lot of the times it evens out on the expense side, and it's just depending on the contracts we have. So the more you make in gates, it's tied to a percentage that they take in expenses. And so, the net, a lot of times, if you're talking about a state basketball tournament in Sioux Falls, like state aid boys basketball in Sioux Falls versus Rapid City, we're going to get a higher gate in Sioux Falls, but the expenses are more there too for the facility. And so, and what he has on there now, I don't know if all the expenses are in. We got our gate revenue in, so all the expenses might not be in there yet. So it kind of evens out. It's not a gigantic disparity. We were down a little bit in AA girls and boys this year. It was down from what we had anticipated, but when the expenses at the monument are generally a little bit less. So, we first look at what venues can hold our events, and what's going to be a good experience for the kids. And then we kind of build our budget around that. And, we have to be realistic too, and we've got to be able to. I got to be the bean counter, and we got to pay the bills too. But I would say that's not top of mind when we're in site selection committee and looking at places to go.
Okay,
we're looking at hotel availabilities. We're looking at the venue. We're looking at the size of the venue, what it can hold, if it's going to be a good experience for the kids. And, so, obviously it's reality, and we got to pay the bills, so we have to look at that at some point. But it's top of mind is the venue and making sure that it's of the right size, and it's going to be safe for the kids, safe for the spectators, and it's going to be a good experience for everybody.
I know you've put some events in Rapid City because the Premier Center didn't have some availability. You still think Sioux Falls wants a lot of state tournaments? Are they still in the mix on that?
Oh, yeah, I think they do. I mean, what they've got there and what's happened there is they've got that Sioux Falls Sports Authority, and they're branching out into putting bids in for some more NCAA regional events. So we get crossed up with that, and that's what that's what's happened for this upcoming year in state basketball. And then 2 years beyond that is, we schedule 3 years out, and they got a bid in 4 years out and got the venue before we did. So, and from a venue perspective, if they're able to sell, they keep all the concessions. So if they're able to, it's just a fact of life. If they're able to sell beer at an event or alcohol at an event, they're going to make more money than they do for us. But I don't think the Premier Center is trying to push us out or anything. I think they're trying to accommodate us where possible and as much as possible, and they're trying to accommodate other groups that are right there in their city. So I think they're trying to be fair with it. And there's been other things. When the Governor's Hunt shifted from Pierre to Sioux Falls, we had to shift some things around. We have All-State Chorus and Orchestra that same weekend generally, and so we do what we can.
All right.
And so they're fair to us.
Dan Swartos tonight, Executive Director, South Dakota High School Activities Association, on the Nate Brown Show on the Pizza Ranch Hotline. I want to go to this ADs conference and the ADs voting on some stuff. One thing that jumped out is on the football side, there was a vote to potentially look at moving the playoff dates from Thursday, Friday to all Friday night. That went down. The 11-man schools wanted it. 9-man schools said, nah, we don't. And it conflicts with that all-state orchestra and choir and that weekend there. So football, do you think that there's going to be still people saying we want to play Friday nights, or is this just how it's going to go, Thursday, Friday?
Well, we'll probably stick with the Thursdays for now, and that's natural. As you get into larger schools, you've got less kids that are in multiple things, and so you're going to have less crossover in kids that right now do all-state chorus and also are on the football team or are cheerleaders on the football team. And then I think it conflicts with that, and then one of the other weeks it would conflict with it's that cheer and dance cross-country weekend as well.
Okay.
So, but, I get it from the school's perspective. It's in terms of getting back from a long trip on a Thursday night and having to go to school the next day. I get it from their perspective. We said, well, put it out to a vote, and it's pretty clear on there. The larger you get in the schools, the more open they are to it, and the smaller you get in the classifications, the school size you've got. It's just natural. You've got to have more kids that do more than one sport, sometimes more at the same time, or more than one activity. So they've got a lot more kids that cross over into different activities, and I would guess that's the difference between in the voting.
Would it ever be feasible to put 11-man football on one night and 9-man football on another?
Yeah. I think we could, and it'd be a lot simpler for officiating crews and stuff.
Okay. I asked that question yesterday, and the audience said, hey, why don't the 11-man schools, if they want Fridays, why don't they do Fridays and the 9-man schools do Thursdays?
Yeah, I can't think. We've got so many advisory committees. I can't remember what the conversation was surrounding that, but I'm sure that's something that will come up again, and I don't think we would be opposed to that. I would say that the 11 AAA and 11 AA and maybe the 11A would probably be the most in favor of going to that because they have fewer kids that cross over. But yeah, that'd certainly be a possibility.
Talking football playoffs, they're going to stay Thursday, Friday for now. Dan Swartos on tonight. Before I let you run, Dan, I want to kind of get into this bylaws thing, something that I noticed you've been working on the transferring side. And this is of interest for parents and kids. What is the transfer rule and how does it work? I'm looking at Amendment 3. You tell me if I have this right. For the way it is now, I could maybe transfer from Rapid City Central to Rapid City Stevens and back to Central, my home school. Would this Amendment 3 that you look at tomorrow change where I couldn't go back again?
No. You're always able to go back to your home school, which is... So every kid's eligible wherever they start as a freshman. It doesn't have to be where you live. And you get one... And you can transfer through a variety of ways, through a bona fide move, if there's a divorce, if there's a closure of schools, or you can transfer via open enrollment. You get one transfer via open enrollment throughout high school, but you can always transfer back over the summer to your home school, which is either where you started or where you lived. I don't have it in front of me. Is Amendment 3, is that the one talking about the bona fide move?
That's talking about if you played in a tournament or a playoff game at the sub-state level at the school previously attended, said student would be ineligible at the new school.
Yeah. So right now, if you do a bona fide move, there's two things we're clarifying here. The way it's written right now, if you could move from apartment 4 across the hallway to apartment 5, and it would be considered a bona fide move. And you'd get a transfer and you're eligible after 10 school days. What this is saying is it would prevent someone from losing in the first round of the playoffs, doing a bona fide move, and then joining another team in the championship or whatever.
Okay, I got you. In that same year, okay, I got you.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. It's saying, if you complete a bona fide move, you're eligible. I think we're changing it to say 14 calendar days rather than school days, but if you do a bona fide move, you have a 14-day sit-out period, and then you're eligible, unless you've already competed with a team in a postseason contest.
Okay.
So it's preventing someone from playing on two teams within the same postseason.
Boy, we wouldn't have that, would we? But I guess you got to cover everything, right?
It's kind of the same reason where there's an amendment on middle school stuff to prevent someone from trying to redshirt a kid in 8th grade and establishing semesters, because if I've learned anything in this job, and I say this with respect, but if there's a loophole, someone will find it, and eventually someone will try it.
Yeah.
And we haven't had anyone try to redshirt an 8th grader before, but I could see it, and it's happened in other states, and I could see it. So just trying to clarify that, and that's what a lot of those amendments are. We went through those transfer rules, tried to go through them slowly and try to. We've been around for 120 years, and the Constitution gets amended, and doesn't always connect all the dots. So trying to go through and clarify things and fix things, and it gets to be kind of whack-a-mole sometimes, but we got to do our best and trying to find what needs to be fixed and putting it out and seeing if the membership is interested in that language.
For the most part, Dan, are you happy with? For the most part, it's a one-time transfer rule. Unless you kind of go back to your home school, is the one-time transfer rule accepted by South Dakota parents and families?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, politically, both statewide and nationally, it's the tone's definitely shifted to school choice. But I mean, I process all the open enrollments, and there's probably about 125, 130 a year, and with 48,000 kids in the association, it ends up being about 0.3% of kids who transfer. And you get a high profile athlete that does it, and it gets some attention, but by and large it's kids and families who are trying something different. Something's not going the way they want it to go, and so they're trying something different, doing it the right way. And that's a majority of our transfers, and a majority of those 125 are in just a couple different pockets around the state. that are, it's the Sioux Falls Publics, it's the Rapid Publics, it's the 3 high schools around Pine Ridge, it's a couple schools that are across the river from me, like Lower Brule, Coal Creek. So it's mostly pockets. That's 80 to 90% of it, and so it ends up being less than 1% of the kids in the association that transfer every year, and a vast majority of that are kids and families just wanting to try something different for a variety of reasons. So, we hear stuff when there's, particularly you get a small school and a group of 5 kids transfer out to a different school. That's going to impact us. That's going to impact that school a lot more than a Rapid City Central with a couple thousand kids in it and 5 kids transferred to a different school.
Yeah.
That's where I hear it the most, and high impact, really impactful athletes who transfer. But for the most part, it's just normal high school kids trying something different. So
Dan Swartos on tonight, getting set for the annual meeting and board meeting coming up. South Dakota High School Activities Association Executive Director, monitoring soccer practice as well. He's doing it all. Dan, I appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, you bet. Take care.
Appreciate it. Dan Swartos on tonight, South Dakota High School Activities Association Executive Director, live from Pierre. Well, I'm glad we have that cleared up. They actually had to amend where you can't play on a South Dakota High School football playoff team and then go to a different team in the same playoff. Isn't that sad? Hey, no, you can't do that, but we actually have to put that rule in there. Who would have thought? All right. Interesting stuff there. Interesting stuff. Dan Swartos on tonight. Let's stay in high school and go to Chris Stabner, former head coach, Rapid City Stevens boys basketball. Resigns after 10 years. Let's talk to Coach next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
I was the cool dad. My kids wanted me to take them to the mall. I didn't think anything about doing it in front of them, even though I knew it was illegal. Then my oldest started driving. Like father, like son. Gotta read that text right now. But he took a life, and now his is shattered too.
Addiction has many faces. Texting and driving when you know it's life-threatening and illegal can be one of them. Take back control. Put the phone down.
Brought to you by the South Dakota Office of Highway Safety, the South Dakota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Cadillac Jacks is Deadwood's exclusive home of the Roaring Riches Jackpot. Just be actively playing your favorite slot machine with your club card engaged for your chance to win. The Roaring Riches Jackpot starts at $7,500 and must hit by $10,000. Plus, you can keep up to the minute on the current Roaring Riches total on your Cadillac Jacks mobile app. Roaring Riches has already paid out $2 million. Anyone at any time on any spin. You could be the next to win. Only at Cadillac Jacks Gaming Resort.
Spring is here, and so are the savings at Spearfish Motors. Freshen up your drive with a brand new GMC, like a Sierra HD, now up to $2,750 off, or a Sierra Light Duty with savings up to $6,250. At Spearfish GMC, we also have a great selection of terrains, Acadias, and Canyons, ready for wherever the season takes you. But just like spring, these deals won't last forever. Online always at SpearfishMotors.com. Spearfish GMC, we are professional grade.
We're talking with Britt Wicked at Elevate Performance Physical Therapy for an Elevate Performance Health Minute. Britt, one of the injuries we hear a lot about in sports, an ACL tear. You can't prevent all injuries, but good sports performance training could help.
Yeah, Nate, one of the things that a lot of good sports performance training focuses on is trying to not only prepare athletes for the field of sport, but also try to mitigate their risk to sustain an injury. Unfortunately, things happen in sport. If anybody ever does experience an ACL tear, that results in needing a surgery to fix that, it's important to have a therapist on your side who can help them through prehab, rehab, and then return to sport. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It takes a long time to get back to the field of sport, but it's not impossible to do it all by any means. So just having that end goal in mind can be really beneficial for the rehab process.
When it comes to ACLs and sports performance training and treatment, get started at elevateperformancesd.com.
Ever since Barron's Wilson Funeral Home first opened their doors in Rapid City 140 years ago, they have continued to make personal service their number one priority. In your time of grief, they offer a personal touch by being at your side through every step of the funeral process. They answer difficult questions and guide you toward other professional services you may need. See for yourself the wide variety of services they can provide for you by visiting their website at barronswilson.com.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
All right, welcome back in. Glad you're here on a Tuesday night. Hope you've had a good day. Thanks for spending some time with us on South Dakota Sports Talk Show across the state on Fox Sports Radio. Good stuff tonight. John Shem will join us, USD Athletic Director, talking about the latest with the Yotes, their football program losing 5 starters just last week in the transfer portal. John Schemmel, the USD AD, was on earlier. Dan Sortos moments ago on some high school sports topics for the annual meeting and the board meeting tomorrow. Dan Sortos, the executive director and peer, joined us moments ago. If you missed some of these guests, go to the Nate Brown Show podcast so you can catch the show there. Search The Nate Brown Show, and you've got every show right there on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. You've got us. Well, Chris Stabner's been on the show a lot over the years. This went by fast for me, not for him, but it was by fast for me. 10 years coach at Rapid City Stevens. He resigns as head boys basketball coach. Going to take a little breather, and Chris Stabner joins us live tonight. Coach, good to get you back on. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Nate. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate your time. I wanted to ask you, 10 years. That seems like a long time. There's not a lot of coaches that even go that long. How fast did it go? I mean, you started, and now you resigned. 10 years. How fast did it go?
No doubt it flew by. You know, I just was thinking today, you know, my second daughter was born, you know, the Saturday we moved out here, and she's going to be 10 now, you know, already. And I think that's one of the things, obviously, that led to some of this is, you know, your kids, 10 years flies by, and your kids are already, you know, I got a teenager. And so, you know, the family part of it flies by, which is really, really important to me. But the basketball side, no doubt. And I've said this before. I don't know if you'll see, you know, 10 years, you know, compared to maybe coaches 20 years ago. That's not that many years, but today's coaching landscape, 10 years is quite a long time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I said I don't think you're going to get the 20-year, 30-year coaches anymore. I want to ask you, why'd you get into it? You were a college player, loved the game, the passion. Why'd you want to get into high school coaching?
Well, you know, I grew up, you know, a son of a coach, high school coach, played for my dad in high school, got the opportunity to play in college, and just, you know, being around the game, you know, basketball has kind of been my identity for most of my life. So I knew that was a passion I had to kind of give back. You know, I think I started maybe down the college route of maybe going into college coaching, but, you know, with my education background, you know, I thought it'd be nothing better to be in a school system and then also, you know, coach along with that.
Chris Stabner joining us tonight, former head coach, Rapid City Stevens boys basketball. Wanted to get him on. He just resigned, and the Raiders looking for a new head coach. So AA basketball, I talked to you, Coach. We talked sometimes every week. So competitive. How did you try and build this program at Stevens? What was your key to try and have success? You won the most games for a Stevens boys coach in history. What was the model for you?
Well, I think it just started with you know, building the groundwork of being consistent, you know, and starting it on the defensive end. I think especially in AA basketball, you've got to be able to defend. You know, you see a lot of low-scoring games in AA basketball, and And it's not because you have a lack of skilled players. I just think, everyone is scouted so well, and you got to be able to defend, especially if maybe you don't have the size, which most years maybe we didn't have. But you got to start it on that end, and we tried to focus on that. I think kids, hopefully we're aware when they got on our program, they better be able to defend, to get on the court. And then if you can put the basketball in the hoop, that makes you invaluable as far as that goes. And then maybe that's to detriment to our team. Maybe that's one thing is we struggled scoring, these last few years, and maybe we focused too much on the defensive end. But, I thought it always put us in good position to be competitive and be in the basketball game at the end.
Okay, I look at Stevens and I say, you guys had some runs there, and then you were close in a lot of ways. I want to just talk about this past year. You look at this past year, so many close games. What do you look back on and think about?
Yeah, and that's, one of those things I was just, going to mention on, when you have that many close games, basketball's always been kind of an identity for me. But in particular, as I started coaching, one of the downfalls of my characteristics is I kind of allowed it to define who I was, and, that's a roller coaster ride. And, obviously you got other people on the roller coaster with you, my family. So this year was tough. I love the way we competed. We were in, 12, 13 games, almost down to the wire. But when you lose 6 or 7 by less than a score, you can about imagine, how that makes you feel as a coach. You're questioning what could have I done different. Proud as heck of our guys, for continue to battle. There's plenty of times we could say, oh, here we go again, but they kept battling. But as far as just maybe a frustrating or trying to find the answers type of year, this was a tough one.
Yeah, I believe that. I saw a lot of the games tough. Really good effort in a lot of games. Just came up short, making the state AA tournament. Chris Stabner on tonight talking Stevens boys basketball. You talk about 10 years, Coach. I want to know, you played high school, East River. You played South Dakota State, and now you've coached high school. In 10 years, how much has the game changed? People talk about, well, you got to shoot threes now. Everybody has to, the stretch fours, the stretch fives. You can't do back to the basket stuff. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, I think, and I just think about the 10 years, I think maybe before that time is when, maybe things changed even more. I think even the 10 years, most teams have been shooting three-pointers and whatever analytics they want to use where, if you shoot more threes, you more threes than twos, you got an opportunity to score more points. I think there's some of that. I think, the post player is kind of, in some ways, non-existent anymore. I think, the biggest thing is you got kids that can do it, but it's a lot of work to just, go down to the post and handle the physicality and all those things. It's a little less physicality being on the perimeter and, just, being able to hoist up threes. But, I think that part's changed a little bit. And I think just, to be honest with you, Nate, I think there's a little less of and this isn't, not just speaking towards Stevens, but just that a little less buy-in to maybe, wanting to win a state title for your high school, Stevens, for example. And maybe there's just, we want to go play because there's that next goal in mind.
Yeah. I look at it, there's guys playing summers. They're on this team, they're on that team, trying to get to the next level. I know there's a lot of high school kids say, I'm going to play college. How hard is it, Coach? You played at a high level. There's not very many guys that go that far. When it comes to high school basketball, what should kids want to do?
Yeah, and that's that's the tough part for coaches nowadays. I just kind of mentioned, I think that's maybe something that has changed over the last 10 years is really getting players and parents to understand, what it does take to play at that level, the time you have to put in, what does it mean to be a great player, and I think sometimes, that mentality or that delusion, I like to call it, it really hinders growth in players. because it's really tough to grow when, you maybe don't have the mindset of what it really takes to do those things. And that's where, we've always tried to preach in our program is humble yourself. Humble yourself. Being humble allows growth, and I just think that's something that's maybe lacking in today's game is just the understanding of what it really takes to be not only a great player, but even a good player, and then, what it takes if you want to go on and play college basketball.
Coach, I congratulate you. 10 years, most wins in Stevens boys basketball history. Did a lot of good things, no doubt. Chris Stabner now taking a breather from coaching for now. We'll see if he gets back on the court. Stevens, former head coach. Coach, congrats to you. Thanks for coming on.
Nate, I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you've done for West River sports. I know you'll keep fighting the good fight, for West River sports. And, it's been a fun ride. And I can't imagine I'll be done coaching, in some capacity at some point. But, right now it's time to, be defined as a husband and father. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, way more important than being defined as a coach.
No doubt. Good luck. Congrats. I appreciate Coach coming on. Chris Stabner tonight joining us. Stevens boys basketball winningest coach in that school's history. Coach Stabner tonight. Who's hot and who's not next?
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Springing up everywhere this week at Fleet Farm. Like 40 pounds of black oil sunflower seed for just $18.99. Bags of superior shredded mulch, all colors, are 5 for $10. And a Troy-built 42-inch lawn tractor is on sale for just $1749.99. Plus, get special financing this spring with the Fleet Rewards credit card, subject to credit approval. See store for details. Stock up on all your seasonal needs at the best prices guaranteed at Fleet Farm.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in South Dakota. This is sportsmanship. School sports, it's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the South Dakota High School Activities Association and the South Dakota Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Find your new Cadillac at Denny Menlo Rapid Cadillac. With 15 new Cadillacs available for immediate delivery, it's our best selection in years. Get financing as low as 3.9% APR with up to a $1,000 purchase allowance on select models. Choose from all-wheel drive 2025 Lyric EVs with a $7,500 federal tax credit. Get your new Cadillac right here in Rapid City from Denny Menlo Rapid Cadillac or rapidcadillac.com. Length of finance contract is limited with qualified credit. Expires 4/30/25.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. 35 tonight, under partly cloudy skies, northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. High of 58 tomorrow, slight chance for showers. 37 tomorrow night, rain likely. High of 44 Thursday, with mixed precipitation likely changing to all rain. Chance of rain 49 on Friday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 56 degrees.
Experience the best selection and lowest prices in town at both Mr. Liquor stores in Rapid City. Shop their massive wine selection where you'll find all flavors of Stella Rosa wines at $11.49. Save $3 off Black Box 3-liter wine, now just $17.49. Or take $4 off a bottle of Mayo Me wine for only $17.99. Plus, all types of Bailey's Irish Cream is on sale for $29.99. Price is good at the new Mr. Liquor 2 next to Walmart off Cadron or on the corner of West Chicago and Sturgis Road in Rapid City.
At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we are committed to improving the lives of our members and bettering our communities. As your community credit union, we're here to get to know you and your unique needs. From extended service hours to the newest technology, we have you covered. Stop by any location to get started or text or call 605-718-1818. BHFCU is member-owned, not-for-profit, and federally insured by the NCUA.
Whether you run the race, make the catch, cast a line, pitch a tent, or just look good doing it, Shields Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear. Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields, we're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
All right, who's hot and who's not, brought to you by the Pizza Ranch. We got a roll on a Tuesday night. Who's hot category to the Green Bay School District. No school the next 3 days because of the draft for the kids there. As the kids would say, that's peak. In my who's not, the Rose Bowl moving up the start time to 2 o'clock Mountain instead of 3 o'clock Mountain. You can't do that. See you tomorrow.
It seems like the cost of everything